So, I just got to Bali. And when coming here, I obviously had to pack my camera gear, including only the absolute essentials. And it got me thinking about two things. The first thing is, what camera gear do I really need? Because I can only take the essentials and all of the rest has to be left behind. But then it got me to think about something way more interesting, and the topic that this video is about, and that is, if I was to have to start all over again from scratch and be able to create the videos that I create here on this channel, what gear would I get to do that? The gear that is going to give me the best chance to still be able to create the content that I do right here on this channel. And that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. So let's head back and get into it. First off, I totally think that gear does matter. I know it's so often thrown around, gear doesn't matter. It does. Having the right gear allows you to achieve the desired look with less effort and more ease. If you don't have gear, it shouldn't be an inhibiting factor, and if the only thing that you can film on is your phone, then still go ahead and film. It's important for you to figure out what type of content you want to create, because if you want to do like travel videos, maybe you should buy a drone, but if you want to do like studio videos like this, maybe you'd be better off putting a bit of your money into lights. So think about that as we go through this list and just consider what type of content you actually want to create. Let's start off with cameras, and your first biggest choice is going to be deciding between APS-C and full frame. APS-C has a huge advantage because not only is it going to be cheaper to buy the camera body, but any of the lenses that you're going to want to get are also going to be significantly cheaper than full frame lenses of the equivalent quality. First off, the things I'm going to be looking for in a camera body, and I'm going to recommend the Sony ones, but the things that I'm taking note of is I want it to be able to shoot in 4K. Ideally, it can shoot in 120 frames per second, preferably at 4K, but if it's only at 1080, that's also okay, but we can at least get some beautiful slow motion shots of anything we want outside. The other thing I'm going to be looking for is if it can shoot in log footage, because I want a flat picture profile so I can capture a really nice broad dynamic range so I can color grade nicer and have more control over my image. The next is going to be in-body image stabilization. That's kind of important for me, especially because a lot of the lenses you're going to get don't have any stabilization, and having it in camera is going to help you take any of that micro jitter away. The last thing is going to be a LCD screen that can flip around fully to see yourself, because even in a shot like this, I can see the LCD off to the side here. The actual cameras that I would recommend are the later models of the A6000 series, something like the A6500, 66 or 6700 are amazing cameras. These are so powerful and they come in at a relatively good price, being this. It is a bit more expensive. You can get the ones with a kit lens, it being a 16 to 50. It's okay, it will do what you need to do. I actually shot on this setup professionally when I was starting out for a good few years, and all of the clients I had were more than happy with the video quality. Next up, we're gonna have lenses, and we need to pair some good lenses with our camera bodies. And if you got the kit lens, that's a pretty good place to start, and those lenses will get away with doing most of what you need them to do, but they aren't really specialized in anything. They're kind of just this it's a kit lens, so it kind of can do everything. I think it's really important now to think about what type of content you want to shoot, because if you want to do something like vlogs where you're filming yourself, maybe the best lens for you to invest in is something super wide. But if you are only shooting portraits or something where you need really blurred out backgrounds and you want that look, maybe you need a 50mm prime or something. Some of my recommendations would be, if you want a really wide lens, the 10 to 18 f4 is awesome. There's also an 11mm f1.8, which I personally have, and I shoot it on my second setup, and it's amazing because you're still getting a huge wide field of view, but you're still getting that blurry background with the lens being f1.8. If you're wanting something that is more kind of zoomed in and you're getting that really nice blurry background, I would recommend a 35mm 1.8 Sony lens as well, also reasonably priced, and that's rarely going to give you that thrown out background because it's more zoomed in. If you are going for any of these primes, I would suggest having the kit lens or a more versatile lens as well. You don't only want to have one 35mm lens, because in some scenarios you're just going to be too punched in, and in other scenarios you're going to not be punched in enough. One of the most versatile lenses I know is this 18-105 f4. I shot on this lens for years and it's awesome. You can kind of do everything on it. It's like a super pimped up kit lens and it does a really good job. Also comes in at a good price. It's a little bit bigger, especially for an APS-C lens, but because it has that huge throw, it's kind of justifiable. To go with our lenses, if we want to shoot video, especially if we got one of the faster lenses, we're going to need to pair them with some ND filters. Personally, I always shoot on the Nissi variable NDs. They're awesome, they're true color, they keep your image really nice, and for those of you that don't know, you just need these ND filters to darken your image like sunglasses so that you can keep your shutter speed and the rest of your settings at where you want them to be. So get an ND filter. I also have a mist filter from Nissi, the Nissi Swift system, not sponsored, but I do like it, just to give it like this nice kind of bloom effect, which ends up looking really good. So variable NDs and a mist filter. Not essential, but definitely would recommend them. Next up, we have audio. Now, if you're not interested in capturing audio and you're just gonna be filming like beautiful cinematic travel videos or something, cool, don't worry about it. You can skip to the next thing. If you do want audio, I have two different recommendations here. The first one, being the most budget friendly, is the Rode Video Micro. It's a tiny little shotgun mic that sits on top of your camera. It's really nice and small, it's really nice and cheap. You'll get some good audio. It will cut out all that wind noise when you're outside if you have the nice dead cat on. So a really good place to start. If you are gonna be doing majority talking stuff like this, like outside and out and about, vlogging and that, not only in the studio, I would recommend getting the Rode Wireless Go's or the Rode Wireless Go 2, like this one right here. This is super versatile because you can put it on yourself and capture really clean audio because of how close it is to you. And you can also put it on the camera and use it as somewhat of a shotgun mic. It's capturing distance is not going to be very far because it's quite a short like capturing distance, but that is also why it works really well for talking, because it eliminates a lot of the background noise going on around you. Next up, we have tripods. So important, because no matter what you're going to be doing, if you aren't holding that camera, you need to be putting it somewhere. You have a couple of options here. I would personally suggest that going with a full-size tripod, not only like a little GorillaPod style one, is going to be much better. For something like this where I'm sitting talking to you, I have to have this tripod, otherwise I'm trying to balance it on a table or something, the worst. So tripods, I feel, they all kind of do the same thing, right? So don't spend a whole bunch of money on tripods, just go for something cheap, ideally that has some sort of fluid head, but I would really not invest my money into a tripod for now. Later on, 100%, but just get any cheaper one. I used a cheaper one for ages. Right now, I use this really nice small rig carbon travel tripod. It's super small, super light, but really nice quality. It's a bit more expensive. I don't think you need to go as high as that, but if you do want that one, it is very nice. Next up, we have lighting. Now, if you're never going to be shooting in a studio like this and all of your stuff is going to be shot outside, or you're just doing vlogging, you probably don't need lighting. Again, you can skip to the next one. If you do want anything like this, having a small light and a softbox is so vital to capturing a nice image. Go for the cheap ones for now. Start with something like a Godox SL60W. They are relatively cheap and they still give you some really nice quality light. Get yourself a big softbox so you can point at yourself and get this beautiful soft light on your face. Otherwise, the one I personally am using right now is the Zion Molus 60W, because it's like this big, and when I'm traveling, I want to limit my space that I take with all my camera gear. So now, once you've shot all your awesome videos, you're gonna need to edit them on something. So let's talk about your laptop. I personally suggest MacBooks because they are super high quality, they last really long, and you know what you're getting. If you are someone that is never gonna be traveling and you're always gonna be editing from home, maybe that's a different case and you could build out like a desktop PC and get more power for less money. But I'm gonna suggest that you get a MacBook. Any of the MacBooks with M1 or M2 chips are most likely going to be good enough to process all of your footage. Worst case scenario, if they aren't, you can edit using proxies, which is very, very easy these days, and it just makes your computer able to process as huge of a project as you're putting into it. It doesn't have to stress about it. It's just using those proxy files. For what you want to edit on, Filmora allows you to use those proxies. So Filmora is a really great editing software that you can start to introduce yourself into the whole video editing process. That's really intuitive, easy to do whatever you want. Today's video is sponsored by Filmora, and they're an amazing platform for people that want to get into this field. They have presets and templates for pretty much everything, making your workflow much faster and also just easier to do. They have things like these really nice LUTs that you can just add onto your footage and add onto your clips to get really nice color grades without having to understand the whole color grading process. And they have all of these different templates that you can use, titles and text and animations and overlays, all of this different stuff. It makes it really easy. And like I said, it's such an intuitive platform to use when you're just starting out. So if you're looking for what you should be editing on, use Filmora, check them out. They're gonna be in the bottom of this video. There's a couple extra odds and ends that we're gonna need to make our kit make sense. The first being is things like SD cards so that we can record our footage. I personally go for the Sony Tough cards, but they are a little bit more expensive. So you could also go for something like a SanDisk 64 gig card. Maybe you get 2 of them in case the one runs out. You should be pretty good with that. The other thing is batteries, especially on these smaller type of cameras. Your batteries actually don't last very long at all. They tend to run out really quick. And when I was shooting on the A6000 series, I think I had like 5 batteries just to be safe, and I would burn through them like nothing else. So get yourself a couple extra batteries so that you are not gonna find yourself out shooting something important and being like, I just ran out of juice and now we can't film anymore. We came all the way here. So get those extra batteries. For storage, you're gonna need somewhere to put all of your videos because you don't wanna fill up your little MacBook with all of these awesome video clips that you're filming. So I would suggest getting an SSD drive. You need an SSD, not a hard drive, because it needs to be fast enough that you can store your footage on it and edit off of it as well. I personally get these little SanDisk drives. They're fine. Try go for something a little bit bigger. Don't go for the 1 terabyte one because you are going to fill it, and going for the 2 terabyte one, you get more bang for your buck. One of the last essentials that I'm going to recommend is a bag to put all of this stuff in. Don't waste your money on a crazy expensive new bag. Just get something that you can throw your stuff in that's going to keep it safe. I personally use the Low Pro Tactic AWs. That's an amazing series of bags, but they are slightly more expensive. They come in at a higher price. Just get any off-brand. Make sure it is a camera bag though, so you have all the dividers and you can put your stuff in. But you definitely don't need to go out and buy some crazy Peter McKinnon bag to put your like new gear in. Just get whatever bag, you'll be fine. Obviously, there's a bunch of extras that I could include in this list. Things like drones, gimbals, extra lights, different audio, but I really want to keep this super budget, like the essentials. What do you have to have, non-negotiable, to be able to give yourself the best chance of creating high quality content? So that's really what I tried to achieve with this list. This is literally the stuff I would go and buy right now if all of my camera gear just, and I was getting in at a budget point. This is exactly what I would go purchase right now. Remember, if you guys want to check out Filmora, they're going to be linked in the top of the description. They're an amazing editing platform. Go and have a little look. You can give it a try, see how it goes. Take the initiative to go and get this gear and start creating awesome content. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.